شكرا لسعادة السيدة مي عبد الحميد، وندعو الآن المتحدثين في الجلسة الحوارية الأخيرة لليوم للتفضل على المنصة. سعادة السيد أمين العريض، الرئيس التنفيذي لشركة نسيج من مملكة البحرين. سعادة السيدة مي عبد الحميد، أيضا معنا السيد لويس كينش، مدير الإبداع المشترك والابتكار في ساوثرن هاوسينج في المملكة المتحدة. وتدير الجلسة الدكتورة وفاء الغتم، وهي أستاذ مساعد في العمارة والعمران بجامعة البحرين.
شكرا على المحاضرة القيمة الجميلة. شكرا. تفضلي. شكرا. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. إن شاء الله تكون يعني ختامها مسك. طولنا عليكم شوي، بس إن شاء الله تكون very valuable discussions. راح نفتح الحوار. We can mix Arabic and English if you want. We will start with Mr. Amin Rayad from Nessij. Nessij worked across multiple real estate sectors. How does your approach to social housing differ when community needs are front and center?
So the social housing sector for us is a core business. So at Nسيج we do have a diverse portfolio, but I would say that the core of our business is aligned with the government social housing projects. We're very happy to be part of this conference.
Mm-hmm.
And we're equally happy to have signed with the ministry for the upcoming projects that are coming. So it's part of the core business, and we hope to continue with that.
Okay, very interesting. And if I can just move to second questions regarding Nessij has been involved in a key public-private partnerships initiatives such as Salman Town, I believe, and with Ministry of Housing. What are some of the lessons learned from the collaborative, and how can the PPPs serve long-term community resilience?
Sure. So Nسيج was very fortunate to be awarded the very first PPP. So Medinat Salman was actually the first dedicated PPP project. Nسيج worked closely with the government to deliver over 2,000 villas in that project. A lot of lessons learned.
Okay.
And I think really that project created the framework that has been taken forward, I think, in the subsequent projects that the ministry has done. At Nسيج, we believe that the private-public partnership is the best way to deliver social housing. It is imperative that the private sector be given an active role. It allows the government to really multiply its efforts because it has a partner that can provide the funding and can take care of the markets and all of that. And so really it's the most effective and really only feasible way for it to reach the levels that were outlined today. I think they talked about 50,000 homes to be delivered, and I think that the PPP GLDP program is the best way to do that.
Okay, fascinating.
Thank you.
And we move to Egypt. Fascinating presentation. We learned so much, and well done for achievement. And I salute you for that. Engaging a lot of diversity of members from the community and targeting female and male and divorcee, widow. That's fascinating, and would like to really hear more about it. So my questions for you: how the social housings mortgage and finance funds, creating participatory governance models where residents can contribute to the decision-making and management of their housing community.
Okay, we definitely, as I highlighted during the presentation, we've had a lot of consultations with the public first and surveys on how do they want their units to look like. We've launched a competition for designs as well among universities, and we've chosen the best designs, and we've done the same thing for green housing as well to get the best designs who will make the best savings in energy and so so on. We've launched a competition, and we decided the winning models. We've picked 2 models to implement, and definitely we had a criteria on cost as well, so as not to exceed the cost of a conventional housing dramatically, because the type of beneficiary is cost sensitive. And we have also launched a complaint website for on our website as a fund. We get all types of suggestions, complaints from the services. So the relation is there with the client all through the 20 years when he has a mortgage with the banks, and we classify those complaints so as to address if there is something where there is a collective complaint, for instance, from the quality of finishing, or from lack of services, or connectivity, transportation is not enough, and so on. And so we present this through the audit committee of the fund and to the board, and we come up with suggestions to address the issues that rise up through the complaints website. And this is done on a monthly basis, so as to discover where are the issues, what are the challenges, and so that we can.
So the communications and feedback from the community itself and the inhabitant back to come to you.
Yeah.
Is it usually with a different means, like a website or other things, like let's say people who's not reachable or not illiterate, or how can?
Very reachable. I think we've had, since we launched this, I think we've had more than 200,000 complaints. We have a call center as well that receives the customers' calls, inquiries, complaints, and so on. And this call center received 13.5 million calls since we launched.
Oh my God!
So imagine. That's the most active call center in Egypt.
Yeah.
We classify, as I said, the queries and the complaints into different types, and we present this summary to our board, which meets regularly.
Yes.
We have a board of 18 people representing the different stakeholders, and by far this is the largest board, very difficult to manage. I was lucky, Engineer Khaled, my colleague, is on our board. We have 5 ministers on board, Deputy Governor of the CBE, the head of the chairman of the Financial Regulatory Authority, 5 experts, so different stakeholders to address all the issues related to planning, infrastructure, whatever it is, and this is a very important part of the board presentation each and every month to summarize the queries.
Wow.
and
so you're going every month meeting with the
exactly.
Fascinating. That's quite a really hard work. Mr. Lewis, welcome to Bahrain. I think this is your first visit to Bahrain, and since you are from co-creation and innovation managers, I would like to ask you, how do you operationalize co-creations in the development of the process?
Yeah, so I think co-creation is bringing together people that use a service, so people that live in houses with the people that deliver that service. So it could be the house builder, or it could be the architect, or it could be the landlord. And in theory, it all works quite smoothly, and you bring everyone together and you make a decision, and it all goes fine. But I think in practice, you do have to leave a lot more time that discussion and that back and forward and that understanding of each other and having that kind of two-way conversation. So I think making sure you leave an ample amount of time is really important. I also think having commitment from senior people in the organisation is really important. So often the service users will want to talk to you, and they're quite happy to have that conversation. The staff are usually quite happy to have a conversation, but it's us decision makers who may be more senior that you really want to make sure they're on board. So it's making sure you've got everyone bought into the process, everyone's committed to it, and then you leave enough time to make sure you've got room to make those changes.
Very interesting. I will have one common questions for everyone, and we hope to think about it and share your answers with us. How do we ensure that community voices are not only heard but also act upon? If you have any idea from your background or from sharing experience or lessons that you have, you can share it with us. So
So I think very important to have feedback from the communities, and I think one of the ways that can be accomplished as a developer is to develop in stages, and then once the first phase is complete, to engage with the users to get feedback that can help then make changes and improvements on the second and then subsequent phases. And so really it's about having that flexibility. It can be done through focus groups, it can be done through interviews, it can be done in many ways, but it's imperative that you are able to act on the feedback, because there's nothing you can do after a project's completed in its entirety. If there's so that's something that we've adopted in Nusij in our projects. Usually we start off with 10 to 20% of the product, and then we release it to the market and we see if we've gotten everything right. It could be pricing, it could be layout, it could be, and then we would allow then for a review process to happen before tackling the subsequent phases.
Okay. And can you share something that very common you hear it from the community or from the clients? And
I think one of the biggest things we've gotten in terms of feedback is the need for expandability of homes.
Flexibility.
And so one of the things that we've tried to incorporate is provisions for expansion. And so people, when they buy their first home, they really don't have a willingness to pay extra for additional rooms or, for example, elevator or lift system, or because they don't need it at that stage in their life cycle.
Yes.
But then, of course, as they have more children or as they get older, then all of a sudden these items become critical. And so it's about just thinking ahead in terms of the life cycle of the customer.
Yes.
And addressing those through provisioning, not through product in the beginning.
Okay.
So that you don't have to recoup that cost early on and you keep the homes affordable.
So you're thinking about this developing designs for a dwelling unit where there could be adaptable and flexible, so that you adding some certain rooms or extra apartment over. I think the cycle time space is something global, not just in Bahrain, and everywhere.
Sure.
And the life of the family units, it's changing by the time. So the need is differ from time to time, and I think this is very nice that it's the private public sectors projects that consider it. And we would like to hear, I mean, maybe this is something that could be more give awareness to the public to engage them of what's happening behind these meetings, so we can learn from each other and how to enhance it further. And so now we're moving to Egypt. If we would like to, hear.
As I explained earlier, we give a very high priority to engagement with the community, and we keep on adapting from time to time on our eligibility criteria, for instance, on our procedures. In the beginning, we had a very high rejection rates, for instance, in applications. It was very difficult for beneficiaries to prepare a file that would be accepted by a bank. The banks as well needed a lot of focus and training on financing this specific category of income community. So we needed a lot of work on both sides to facilitate the procedures and make it easy. I recall the first meetings with the boards, and my minister was always blaming me and telling me that it's very easy to build an apartment rather than get a mortgage approved by a bank. So that was a challenge in the beginning. We got from the beneficiaries themselves. Then we kept on improving and streamlining the procedures and so on. We agreed with the central banks, together with the banks that were working with us on having an SLA on each and every stage in the underwriting of the loan, and until the beneficiary can get his flat and so on. So very important to get the feedback of the people, and life was made easy with technology and digital transformation. So you can get all this through. We can launch a survey, for instance, and get feedback on certain things, and we do that. By the way, we sometimes send some people to cities from our research department to get some feedback on certain issues. When you hear that there are issues, for instance, cost of infrastructure in a certain city is higher, and so on. So a lot of issues arising that needs you to be dynamic and keep on changing the way you're doing business as usual, so as to accommodate all the needs of people.
Fantastic. And if there is any lessons we can learn from
I think just starting those conversations as soon as possible. So we're just about to start a project on a new estate. And we haven't got a design yet. We haven't got an architect. We've just got a plan to redevelop the estate, and we're already talking to the residents so that they can be part of procuring that contractor, so they can be part of helping us choose who the architect will be, making sure that they're happy with that person, that they're going to design it that fits their lifestyle and fits, the community. And then they can be part of helping us to draw up the estate and tell us where they want green spaces and play areas, and but we wouldn't have been able to do this if we'd have already had a design ready and we'd have turned up. But actually, we can actually make sure that those residents are really at the heart of what we do, because we're having those conversations so early. So I think, my lesson is just basically start talking as soon as possible.
Fantastic, fascinating. So back to you, Mr. Amin. Would it be possible, can you share a project where community input significantly changed the development outcome?
Since what input?
Any project where the community input significantly changed the development outcome.
I think the Nasaim Arad smart villas.
Okay.
And I'll tell you why, because we wanted to go the non-traditional route and kind of come up with something innovative.
Okay.
And so whenever you have kind of a non-vanilla product, right? You're talking about something that you're about to launch for the first time. You really are dependent and driven by the feedback that you get. And so what we did is we launched, I remember 2 years back, the concept, and we looked for feedback on the concept itself to feed into the design process. The second thing that we did is we brought a technology expert as part of the committee to sit with the architects.
Okay.
So for the first time, we had actual technology thinking as part of the development of the villas. So I think, to answer your question, that is probably the project that really was shaped, not just impacted, but shaped by feedback received from the community and from experts outside the field of real estate.
Fascinating. In Arad, this is
in Arad, Nasaim Arad.
It's built already. And
it's built, and it's actually being showcased at this
we should go and celebrate.
Yes.
It's showcased. Fantastic. Mai, what are the specific strategies are in place to ensure long-term sustainability of these housing community beyond constructions, such as maintenance or community governance?
Okay, and this is something also we got as a feedback in the beginning. So you deliver the house, and then you can end up having a mess, and this is a collateral for the banks. So the banks were very keen from the very beginning that we should have a mechanism for maintaining that. And that was also a feedback we got from the beneficiaries. So the first batches of units offered, we were not maintaining. We left that to the law to organize that, and that the people do this collectively together. But then we found out, no, this is not going to work out, and we are going to see deterioration in those units. So we decided to have a maintenance deposit. We get it from beneficiaries from the very beginning. It's 5% of the unit cost, and it's paid together with the mortgage, so that they don't feel they have to come up with a big amount as a maintenance deposit from the beginning. And we collect those maintenance deposits together, and we invest, and then out of the proceeds of those investments, we maintain the buildings themselves and the community in general. So we have established a company that is responsible of maintenance, and this company is present in each and every location. It creates jobs for people who are there. Sometimes people who are also living in those units, they do their own small projects, and they are used as contractors by this company to do the maintenance thing. So that was, I think, something that we learned from our past experiences and from the feedback we got from beneficiaries.
So this maintenance is daily basis or annually or?
Compulsory on each and every one. He has to pay this maintenance deposit, and we maintain the landscape, the building itself, the facades,
all the time.
if they need some extra paintings and so on. It covers certain things, and it's
not
contractual,
everything.
not
Yes.
everything.
Yes.
And in case in some years now we have the deposit rates is 27%, so we get a good amount of money that would help in maintaining. But in some other years, if interest rates falls down below this level, we are going to see probably some deficit. We are keeping some money to cover for those days, but we might need to ask beneficiaries to pay some extra more if the amount is not sufficient, and it's in the contracts there as well, in the mortgage contract, so that the beneficiaries know that if there are deficits, we are going to need to ask them for a monthly amount or something.
Okay. Lise, back to you. Can you share an examples of a project where user input changed the course of the design or planning? Or a lesson?
Yeah, I think one recently we've had is where we were speaking to residents about their experience of having redecorations done in their property. So a lot of our residents are renting from us, and occasionally we'll come in, we might change their bathroom or repaint or whatever it is. And we found that actually going to their houses while that was being done and actually listening to their experience of having a builder in, and what happened when they were in there, how much mess they made, how they left the property at the end of it, really informed the way that we then procured new contractors. But it was actually going into their homes and seeing what was going on at the time that gave us all the information we needed to go back to the next contractor. So that real-time view.
I see. I think we ran out of time, but I have last questions for everyone. How can a cross-sector, collaborative, private, public, community be improved? If you can, from your expertise and from your background.
I mean, I think reflecting on this venue,
yes,
I would have said prior to this setup that we had that this would be the right way to do it. So one of the nice things about this conference and the exhibition is that you have all the players in one place. And I think that it's critical for a lot of buyers who maybe not used to dealing with the procedures for acquiring property, that they have the developers who have the product, they have the banks that have the financing, the government that provides the subsidies, and I think there's architects, and so everybody under one roof. I think this really enhances the PPP proposition. Ultimately, what you want is the developers want to do business. The government wants to achieve its goals in terms of providing housing. And the individuals want the easiest route to get a property. And I think that there's a lot of credit to be given to the Ministry of Housing and ISKCON Bank for this opportunity.
Sure. Thank you.
In Egypt, we're struggling around that concept. We're trying to bring in the private sector as much as possible because they're going to definitely relieve us of some of the burden to need to build 100,000 to 150 each and every year to deliver to cover the population growth and so on. So we've been discussing through the past I think 6 or 7 years with the private sector to try to bring them in most of the developers in Egypt are used to work on middle income, and rather they think more or less this is the work of the government, this is not the sector. Exactly like the banks, when they felt they don't want to finance low income, the developers feel so. Some of them say, you can give us land, and instead of paying you money, we can give you units as an in-kind or as a payment of the land value, and you sell it. They don't want to sell the units to low income. Most of the developers think they have to work in the niche market of middle and upper middle and luxury housing and so on. So we're struggling to set the right set of incentives to bring them in, and at the same time make sure they offer the units to those who are really in need, because we've had some bad experiences in the past in that sense, where developers were getting land for free and then selling the units to middle income and upper middle income, and you end up having also the queue is still at your end, and you need to still build more for people low income who were not satisfied by this. So this is something we are trying to reach, and I'm very hopeful that this year we can reach an agreement in a sense, because this is where the demand is. When I think when the developers start to feel that the real demand is there, it's not for investment, they will definitely and ultimately come in.
Okay. Luis, anything to say?
I think I'd agree that we seem to have done it quite well here, having everyone under one roof. My experience in the UK is maybe there's not enough accountability for some of the private sector. They might do a bad job and then go bust, and you can't claim that money back, or just not do a very good job at all, and then the contract runs out. So it seems like everyone's quite well connected here. So I'm quite impressed.
Thank you. Now we have a few minutes, like 4 minutes. We can open the questions for the audience. Anyone who have questions for our panelists? There is one. Can we have the mic, please?
Yeah. I would like to ask Daniele Gambero. I've been presenting a paper this morning, and I would like to ask a question to Mr. Nusej, private developer. Same question I've been asking this morning to a Malaysian developer, Dr. Tony Chan, WCT. Imagine the government of Bahrain master plan owns the master plan of 100 acres of land, where 60% of the land is dedicated to affordable housing, social housing, public housing, and where you will be appointed through a tender, through a qualification process to build this social, public, or affordable housing, while the remaining 40% will remain totally free for you to do what you want. You have been mentioning a few times PPP, public-private partnership. This morning in my presentation, I was talking about a PPPAP, public-private people-academia partnership. Can you see, will you be open to work as executor of a master plan decided from the government with this PPPAP?
So the short answer is yes, 100%, if we were given even only 20%. So so the more detailed answer to this question is that even the portion that has been allocated for the social housing, which in your example is the majority, is profitable for us. So we would have no issue if that was also sweetened by having free hand on the additional. The level of profitability, of course, will be much higher on the plots that we have a free hand.
No doubt.
But that would be a deal enhancer to an already good deal. So the projects that we've undertaken with the government, we didn't have such flexibility. These are projects that we were involved with the government in terms of the master plan, but we definitely did not have a complete free hand. And so the scenario that you played is actually a very positive scenario for us.
Okay, that's interesting.
Thank
I
you.
would like to
Thank you.
expand further discussion later. Thank you.
Okay. Any further question?
Everybody wants to go home.
I think so. He's tired. Thank you so much. Thank you for you. And I'm really enjoying all these discussions, and I'm learning so much from
Thank you
this
so much.
summit. And I hope to see you tomorrow also for further elaborative with these goals. And thank you.
Thank you so much,
Thank
Victoria.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. It was a pleasure.
Thank you. It was a